Hey folks, it's time for the quote of the day, and today we're going to be doing something that I don't know if I've done it very often, if at all. If I have, maybe it's cheating. I'm not sure. We're going to figure it out. If I have done it before, just forget about all those times. They weren't as good as this one's going to be. Uh, Today we're going to be quoting two different people. We're going to be quoting a gentleman, a philosopher, a mathematician, a historian, well, just in general, a polymath, by the name of Oswald Spengler. Now, I know that those two names, you think of Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, and Egon Spengler. Not those two merged. Not those two merged. His own guy. He was a German philosopher. It said some very important things that are relevant today. Now, we're also going to be quoting another gentleman who, if you were going to have a competition of who's more important on a birthday, which seems like a silly thing to do, but if you were going to do that, then this second gentleman would probably win hands down over pretty much everybody else who's had a birthday today. Because today we're also going to be quoting JFK. Today is JFK's birthday, John F. Kennedy. Um, Now, I want to make it very clear the reason I'm quoting these two gentlemen is because even though they are born 37 years apart, they both arrived at something of a similar conclusion in these quotes that I'm going to offer you. I think that it is in today's world, the way that we are moving right now, the way that society is. I think that these concepts are so important that I want to make sure that you understand that this is Oswald Spengler, widely considered a very important, if not very cynical, philosopher in history, and what some would consider to be one of the greatest presidents, at least one of the most hope-filled presidents. You know, there was a lot riding on him, and a lot of that hope and that certainty for the future that people had. You know, the people really thought that he was going to lead the country in a very progressive, make some real big strides, and that died with him. So, when you think about this, you think about the impact that these two men had in their own fields, respectively. Obviously, um, you can't help but be astounded when you see that they both essentially agreed on one very important thing. So we're going to start with the quotes right now so that we can get into it and really dig into it. The first one, as I said, by Oswald Spengler. He once said, actually, he wrote this, people want to think only what they're supposed to think, and this they consider freedom. People want to think only what they're supposed to think, and this they consider freedom. Now, I'm going to talk about this quote and the other quote. I'll make sure that I draw the line for everybody, but for this quote alone, I just wanted to say that I think that when you have a philosopher or a thinker, somebody who does that, all the time, um, talking about people, I think that it's really important to understand that most philosophers, including Spengler, understood, and he said it many times in his writing, that the average person ain't that bright. That's where he's coming from, but it's not from a looking down on them kind of way. That's not the sentiment behind it. It's just an understanding of reality that most of throughout all of human history, most people ain't that bright. Most people are, they're just not willing to put the work into understanding their surroundings. Most people look past everything around them and just focus on the one thing they're told to do. And the reason why this quote lines up great with this next one I'm about to give you is because it speaks of freedom in a way as if it holds it on this pedestal. It's this vaunted thing. And I think that when you just say how much you love freedom, we're coming up on the 250th, every bag of chips you see in the grocery store will remind you of that. uh it's we're coming up on this great period of time when people celebrate freedom, right? But what does it really mean? What does the word mean? What is the idea behind freedom? What is it about? And for that, we turn to the quote by John F. Kennedy, where he says, conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Now I'm going to read the Oswald Spengler quote again, and then I'm going to read JFK, and I want you to see if you can pull the line together on your own. People want to think only what they are supposed to think, and this they consider freedom. And then JFK said, conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Both of these schools of thought, both of these lines of reasoning, they line up so well together. And I'm just saying these two because it's their birthday today, but this is something that I guess the term you would use is higher thinkers. This is something that people recognize. Once you remove yourself from the pack and you start to look around you and you see the way that conformity works and the way that people, throw around these terms like freedom, it makes you realize that conformity really is the exact enemy. It is the thing that holds you in. And the whole time, especially in America, we tell ourselves about how free we are, right? Like we talk about freedom like it's some sort of wonderful gift that we give each other. But the reality is that our society, American society in particular, doesn't actually want freedom. It doesn't want freedom of expression. It doesn't want freedom of speech. It doesn't want freedom of belief. We don't want these things because at every turn that we have them, we turn around and level some sort of horrifying thing against somebody that thinks otherwise, right? Like this is one of those important concepts that people need to understand, especially when it comes to things like freedom of speech. I should be able to say anything I want to say. Now, you'll hear it all over the internet. You hear it on every social justice warrior, and I agree 100%. Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. But we are starting to see government encroach on that freedom of speech. We're starting to see how that freedom of consequence mentality starts to shift a little bit when your government starts to control the apparatuses that we use for our freedom of speech. When they start to say, well, we don't like it when you talk about this administration on this here app, so we're going to take down your profile. We're going to take down your page. We're not going to allow you to use this anymore. And then you start to get into, well, wait a minute, where's that line? Where's that, how do we get so blurry on this? Because everybody should be able to say whatever they want to say. As ignorant and as stupid as it is, the whole point is that when somebody says something ignorant and stupid, we have the right to speak out against it. The problem that we reach at this point in time, and the reason why this comes in with the conformity part, is that so many people are afraid to rock the fucking boat. You'll see somebody, if you were to look at my followers, a good portion of the bigger creators I follow are all people that debunk stupid shit on the internet. I absolutely love this. I think that it's very important. I think that everybody should be debunking things as they go. Literally, look shit up, fact check on things. Because conformity creates the situation where we create entire realities inside our head so that we can fit in with everybody else. How many times do you see it on social media where somebody will say something and then you'll see 45 other people make videos that all fall in line with that? Now, I know that even I've done that before, but not because I saw somebody else say it, but because two people can arrive at the same place, individually. And that's often what happens. But I'll be damned if you can find a video where I'm parroting somebody else's sentiments. Not truly, because I always speak for myself. And I think that that's one of the things that's very important about this idea, about these two men and the way that they're talking about it. Oftentimes we say and we think and we do things that we believe we're supposed to be doing, right? We show up to our job every day because we have to make money, because we live in a capitalist society and every fucking thing that we need to live, we have to pay for. But beyond that, we act the way that we're told to act. We speak the way we're told to speak. We behave the way we're told to behave. We don't commit crimes, even though the laws are kind of loosey-goosey, right? We're seeing that, loosey-goosey, don't really fit for the people that have all the power and the money, but for us, we got to follow them. All of this is to say, conformity at any level, looking around and seeing what everybody else is doing, literally takes away your ability to be free at every single level. If you want to truly be free, if you truly value freedom, stand up for yourself. Be yourself. Happy birthday to Oswald Spengler and JFK. The rest of you, take care of yourself. Take care of others. I'll talk to you soon.